Libya and places like that, where he suddenly discovered he was in a much worse situation than in the United States. So I think a lot of people unfortunately discover that, and then people come back and realize that the way to do things is maybe like some of these people like Condoleezza Rice and others. Just get on with it and show your talents in the environment that you are born in. And you probably, with hard work, will find your way through. Okay, so here's the end of this. It was time to leave, 78, and we stood in a large living room. I could not help feeling that I had failed the test. Everything was unresolved. They were disappointed. Obviously, they wanted a commitment from him, and there was something wrong. We shook hands, and he asked me where I was going, wherever I wanted to go. He's very, very, very gentlemanly, Elijah Muhammad is. And I would be driven there, because when we invite someone, he says, we take responsibility to protect him from the white devil until he gets where he's going. And I was, in fact, going to have a drink with several white devils on the other side of town. And I confess that for a fraction of a second I hesitated to give the address, because it was the kind of address that in Chicago, as in all American cities, identified it as a so-called white address, if you want to call it that, by virtue of its location. But I did give it, and Elijah and I walked out the steps, and one of the young men vanished to get the car, and it was very strange to stand with Elijah for those few moments facing those violent, if problematic streets. So it's a very good description, don't you think? And that's why this book, I think, will endure. Yet precisely because of the reality and nature of those streets, because of what he conceived as his responsibility, and what I took to be mine, we would always be strangers, and possibly one day enemies. The car arrived, a gleaming, metallic, grossly American blue, and Elijah and I shook hands, said goodnight once more. He walked into his mansion and shut the door, and the driver and I started on our way. At this hour, strangely beautiful Chicago along the lake. Here we were, Negroes. How were we Negroes to get this land? I asked this of the dark boy who had said earlier at the table that the white man's actions proved him to be the devil. So they have this very philosophical discussion in the car, he and the driver and so on. Page 82, he starts talking about Malcolm X again. I have to bring my presentation of this to a close because time demands that we move on. I would love to read all the pages of it to you, because often I worry about whether you actually read things carefully yourselves and pick out, I'm not doing a great job, I admit, the pith of it, but in any case, I leave it to you to read the rest yourself. Yeah?
Yeah, I'm glad reading this book. I think he's taking the white devil into a specific issue.
He is.
Or not, he is. And I look at it as like, I don't think you can label one group of people like that. But then at the same time, I think I understand, like when you talk about, do you look back at the genocide against the Native Americans, you look at the triangular slave trade, you look at the chattel slave system, you look at colonialism, it was all led by white men. You know, and all that things, I would think of that as deadly.
Well, I just want to ask you if you think black men were white men, and in the same position of scientific power that they had. Each has to do with the technological advancement. That's the only thing that gives one group an advantage over the other, is technology. If the situation were reversed, you think that you would have had a different behavior pattern?
Yes.
I don't think so. I think mankind is basically...
In that context, and making those statements, I can understand that, even though I don't believe it to be true. And I think that to overspecify it as every white person would be a white devil, I don't think that's true.
Well, obviously they are. We know that. They don't mean to be devils. If they are devils, some of them are, some of them aren't. There are black devils, white devils, and...
There's even people all across the border.
We'll say people were all Christian people. That doesn't...
I'm just saying it's not an accurate statement.
I have to let me just correct one thing. That I agree with some of the things this gentleman was saying, but I think people basically behave the same everywhere. If one person has a power of advantage over another person, they often destroy them. It takes a lot of how do you say trying to hold back from exercising your power not to do this. For instance, I don't think the pioneers who went across America really wanted to destroy all of the Native Americans there. But the force of their numbers and what was propelling them forward just overwhelmed anything that